Hey guys, and welcome to the Veneros Podcast, episode 1. Today we're just going to be introducing myself and talking a little bit about coronavirus and everything that's going on. So my name's Alexander Veneros. I'm a 22-year-old guy just from the southeast of Melbourne with a lot of shit to say. I'm currently a uni student, so I'm started out studying commerce straight out of high school. I decided against commerce because I found it boring. Decided to go something I'm more interested in, which is IT. I completed my diploma of IT, studying my Bachelor of IT at Monash. But then I got a job at the bank working full time and decided to go back to studying commerce law online at Deakin, just because it works with my career path and everything. So even though it's boring as fuck, well, I don't know, that's what I'm doing right now. So with everything going on, I started wanting to talk about sports firstly. So I'm a huge sports fan. I love NBA and soccer, the main two. UFC as well. So in the NBA, I follow the Knicks. Follow the Knicks for the last few years. Just got into basketball recently. Love playing it as well. The only issue is the fucking Knicks suck, and they've always sucked. And the issue is as well is I support Arsenal, who also suck, and I started following Arsenal during one of their worst periods, back in about 2010, 2011. Been following them ever since. Watched every game almost since then. Love the team. Love what Arteta's doing, but I'll speak about Arsenal in another podcast. And the last one's UFC. One quick thing I really want to talk about is this Khabib versus Tony Ferguson. So sad it's been cancelled again for what, the fifth time. Hoping this fight does end up happening, but I don't know. We'll have to see. So a little bit about Corona, what's happening in my situation. So I've been indoors pretty much, not leaving the house other than the last 2 weeks. Working from home every from Thursday, like this Thursday. Not looking forward to that at all. I've been enjoying my last 2 weeks doing nothing, but I have to go back. I'm not gonna have internet at my new house for about a month, so not sure what I'm gonna do there. Gonna have to figure that out, but we'll go from there. Another thing is I'm bored out of my fucking mind, which is one of the reasons why I'm starting this podcast. Fucking got nothing to do all day, man. Can't even leave the house. Got a boxing bag, so I've been using that a little bit, taking the dogs for walks daily. Just trying to, stay busy playing games with my mates, but fuck, man, there's not much to do. It's getting bored, and all I've got to see is my family all day, every day, and that's don't even want to talk about that, man. That shit's fucked. As you know, it's being around your family too long all day, every day can really start to do your head in, as it's starting to do my head in now. General situation from what I see everywhere is that the roads are really empty. So it seems like people are really starting to follow the guidelines of trying to stay at home, not making sure not to go out unless it was necessary. People also seem really nice. Like, it seemed a lot nicer with everything going on. I seem like there's a greater sense of community. Like, for example, my neighbor came over there the other day and just gave us some bread and tea for no reason, absolutely, which has never happened really before. And I've been hearing this from other people as well that they know to say it when people say hi to each other and stuff. A lot of people are a lot nice, even though they're keeping distance. It seems like people are um, really starting to like smile more at each other and stuff like that. Another thing is shopping centers are dead. Like, I had to go to a shopping center today to go to the Optus store to see if we could do anything about the internet, trying to get it sorted out because I couldn't get through at all online. Asked the message, been waiting 2 days, nothing. So everything's fucked pretty much. But yeah, shopping centers completely dead from what I saw today. Like, there was no one there, man. It was like if every store was closed, the ones weren't had no one in them. And now look, let's talk about the possible potential economic effects of coronavirus, because obviously this is, like, as you can see all around us, Australia included, you're seeing thousands of people lose their jobs. And at the bank, I've spoken to people who have lost their jobs and they're coming in the thousands and thousands, and it's a pretty fucked up situation. Obviously the government's done the job seeker program, which well, job seeker, which they already have, but also job keeper. Now the JobKeeper program pays what, like 750 a week, and that's before tax. So they actually tax you on that, and that's paid to your employer, who then employs you, who pays you. So it subsidizes your employer pretty much, which I think is a pretty much dumb system. At a time like this, everyone should just get a payment. If it's 750, every person over the age of 18 should get that payment. And then if people who do not need that payment, the government, the ATO can sort that out at tax time next year and get the money back for anything from the people who didn't need it. There's no point going through employers and doing all this and arguing about people who've worked somewhere 11 months instead of 12 months and arguing for hours and hours every day and wasting time while people are out there can't even pay their bills and starving. It's just a stupid situation to deal with. Like, people need help. So I really think we should start actually thinking about just paying everyone a $750 over the age of 18 weekly, and get that a fortnightly payment like they are now to everyone over the age of 18. And then anyone who didn't need it, they can work that out at tax time. Like, they have people's bank account there. They can see all that. They can get it back at tax time when you do your tax return, if they do. And even if they don't, like, look, everyone needs money at this point. This is a unprecedented situation in a world so connected in the way we are today and how the economy is today. So it's a fucked up situation. Another thing is there's obviously going to be a recession coming in from this. Um, I feel like people are going to spend a lot less money even after this because of fear of all the loss of jobs, and obviously people are scared of potentially losing their jobs in the future, even if they haven't, just because of the economic downturn, because of everything that's happening. The stock market's obviously crashed. I see it continuing to crash for 6 months, possibly longer. Look, it could even, who even knows? Like, this is unprecedented, so this could change everything for all we know. Obviously, the chances of that are probably unlikely. So I'm saying that while this will probably be one of the worst recessions, if not a depression that we've seen ever, but I don't know if it will change everything. But look, I would not look into buying into the stock market or anything like that for at least 6 months, just to see, let the water settle, because this is like I said, this is unprecedented. Another thing that might crash is also the house market. Now, as a 22-year-old or 23-year-old guy, fucking hope it does, because like trying to buy here in Melbourne, you need $1 million on average to buy a house anywhere, especially in the southeast where I'm from. You need a lot of money, and there's just no way I'm gonna be able to buy that, sort of like spend that sort of money on a house at 23. So I'm hoping it does go down, but look, we're expecting it to go down. They're saying 30%. I reckon it might go down even higher. Like, it could go down, possibly. It could even halve. I like when my parents bought the property back in South, like back 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe even now. They like bought that house for what, 350,000. It's now worth like 1.2. It's probably gone down a bit now because of everything going on. The house is not worth that. Like, I see that house being worth probably 500. It's in a decent area, a decent sized house, not too big, 3 bedroom, 500, 550 maybe max. I can't see it staying at 800, 700,000. That's just unreasonable, especially with everything going on and how many people losing their jobs. I don't understand that. One thing I do see going really well, and it's started going really well already, is crypto. So I've been investing a bit into crypto. Look, cash is king in a recession, and cryptocurrency is cash. And in a recession like this, where people are really starting to distrust the banks already from everything with the Royal Commission, this is just adding to that. And it's not going to add to anything like good for the bank. So I see crypto really possibly mooning here and going really high. Like, this could be the catalyst for crypto to actually explode to what it potentially could be. And even if it doesn't, it's still going to go up. Cash is king in a recession, and crypto is technically cash. So crypto will, while it's not cash, it is a sort of cash, a sort of payment system. So it will, I see, go up quite highly in this sort of crisis. Now, with all the negatives going on, one positive thing for at least Australia is we're doing really well with the numbers. So there's under 6,000 cases in Australia right now as of today, which is like the 6th of April on Monday, and it's 37 deaths. So while that's obviously not a good thing, and while we're still early into the epidemic, we have got pretty strict measures already, and we have seen a lot of social distancing in place. So I see it. I think we've beaten the curve. I don't. Obviously, we're going to have to be careful, and we cannot stop the lockdown earlier just because of these numbers. In the history, if you look at the Spanish flu and the countries who did stop their lockdown early because the numbers started looking better, a second wave hit that hit even worse, which caused the Spanish flu to be really as bad as it was. Um, so yeah, we do need to keep lockdown, but Australia are doing really well, and that's more because we're an island. We had a bit more time to allow for this to happen. Um, Countries in Europe and stuff didn't have that sort of time, and that's why you're seeing such a big more impact. So it's not really more of a credit to the Australian government. While they have done an okay job, I do see a few things or multiple things they can do a lot better. There's still a lot too much focus on our economy and not on people's lives and how we can just help people now. I understand that obviously economy is important and everything, and you do have to take measures for that. But at the end of the day, the economy doesn't matter when human lives are at stake. Like this is human livelihood. People are dying. People are potentially a lot more people could die. People are hungry. People are lost their jobs. People can't pay their bills. It's just not a bad time. So the government really need to stop focusing more on the economy and trying to help out billionaires and corporations and more about just helping out the everyday person right now because we're all in this together. Now, with America's response, so in America, there's over 330 cases with just under 10,000 deaths, which is crazy. Theirs was obviously a pretty late response. They have Trump in office, who is, well, you don't need to say much about Trump. He obviously should not be in that position. He's in that position for multiple reasons. I might speak about it a bit later, but because of obviously him being in that position, their late response, him still wanting to open up everything by April because what at the start of this month, which is pretty much now because Easter's a special time, is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Obviously, all that can be, we can speak about. I can speak about it in a different podcast. That's obviously something I want to speak about in a much more in depth. But look, to just go a bit further into that, Western society leadership has been in a decline over the last 20 years. Australia's last good prime minister was what, John Howard? How long ago was that? I can't even remember. I was too young. I do know a bit about John Howard. I know about obviously a lot of the boomers. My parents and stuff do speak about John Howard. Obviously, I've seen people like Julian Gillard, Tony Abbott, ScoMo now, who's a fucking joke. Um, and it's just you look at America, it's the same thing. Obviously, Obama was a bit of a different sort of president. I don't agree with everything he did. He didn't make that sort of change that we needed at the time for a progressive president. Obviously, he was a well-spoken and he's a good guy, which is a good thing, but he wasn't. He just didn't make the change America needed, and that kind of led to obviously America getting sick of having all these promises from all these politicians who are just politicians at the end of the day. And that's how Trump ended up getting ahead because he isn't a politician. He's just a loudmouth fuckwit who doesn't give a fuck, which I can kind of understand. But like a guy like that cannot be president, and I understand why he is there. But I believe that was the catalyst for change, as well as Corona. This is going to bring a big change in the leadership of the world. I see. Obviously, I am a big follower and supporter of Bernie Sanders. I agree in a lot of things. A lot of his points. Obviously, I'm not progressive. I've always seen myself a bit more on the right side. But as I've grown a bit older, I've kind of seen myself going more to the left slightly now. This is just because as I've gotten older, I've seen the issues that not the left, they're not the far left. These are very different things. Speaking with people more like Bernie, the issues where climate change, stuff like healthcare for all. Bernie's got the most comprehensive climate change act ever written. And during this virus, he's only acted. If you have a look at Bernie Sanders, he's only acted in regards to the virus. He's only done things to try to help people during this time. He has not mentioned his political position and does not care a shit about his political position at all. Stuff like that is the reason why I see a man like that needs to be president. And I believe that because of everything going on, because of the Trump, because of coronavirus, because of everything that's going on, this guy, like this will be the catalyst for a revolution like Bernie Sanders that we need. Look, the guy's been fighting for the right issues since the beginning. There's proof. If you go on Reddit, if you go on Google, you see the guy getting arrested in the 60s or whatever it was, the 70s for black rights movements, gay rights movements. You see him fighting for climate change back when no one even cared about climate change. You see him in empty board meetings, empty um, like meetings, speaking to absolutely no one about issues that back then were not even on the like scheme of things at all, and now in 2020 is one of the major issues that humanity is facing, which like climate change is probably the major issue that humanity is facing, other than right now, which is Corona. In terms of the future in the next 20 years, climate change is the biggest thing we're facing, and this guy was fighting for it back in the 80s and the 90s when no one even knew about it, man. Like, and look, at the end of the day, if you look at the stats, the top 1% have seen like I don't know the exact numbers, but it's something in the 300 or 500 billion dollar increase in their profits and in their wealth, while the bottom 98% have seen like a 80 million dollar trillion dollar decrease or even more. It's crazy. It's obviously like say capitalism. Capitalism obviously is made to pretty much make a small minority of people wealthy. And that's what's obviously happening now. And even if you made, let's say, if you were born, I think back in Jesus' time I saw today, and you made 2,500 every week, and you saved every dollar, there would still be 30 people in America richer than you. That is fucked. That's ridiculous. Out of all the politicians I've ever seen, the only man that stands up against and has no one backing him, no super PACs, no corporations backing him, no one spending billions of dollars or millions of dollars on his campaign is Bernie. He stands against the establishment. He doesn't accept any of that. He truly stands with the people, which, look, every time we've looked back in history, there's been a huge catalyst for the people to stand up and rise for a revolution. And this, if you look at history, history generally repeats itself, is showing a lot of the signs of another revolution. I don't know if it'll be physical, or I don't know if there'll be people like it'll be that sort of revolution. I'm hoping for more of a political revolution through Bernie Sanders, and then obviously a further progressing of the Western world and the world as a whole following America, which it generally does. It does follow America, and hopefully Australia included can start following America once Bernie Sanders hopefully is elected, and we can obviously start building to a better, more progressive, like not more progressive, but just a better future as a whole for humanity. Because the way we're going, it's obviously not going to be good. Um, Look, that's pretty much everything I have to speak about today. I'm gonna probably be doing these podcasts every week, hopefully. Right now with everything going on, I might be able to do it a little bit more, possibly because I've got nothing to do. I'm fucking bored out of my mind. But for now, I probably will be saying about once a week. If you did enjoy listening, please, I also have a YouTube channel. It's just the Veneros Podcast. You can go follow it. I'll be uploading all my podcasts on there as well, just for people to be able to listen to if you don't. And if you are listening on YouTube, I will be uploading all my podcasts to Apple Music and I believe Spotify as well. So if you just look up the Veneros Podcast, you should be able to find it there. All right, guys, thanks for listening. I'm gonna fucking head out and probably rip some cones and play some games. I don't know what else to fucking do. I'll speak to you boys next week. Have a good one. Peace.